People think that when you start a YouTube channel, you've got to be, I don't know, narcissistic in a way. But I would never be as like narcissistic as to say that this channel is, I don't know, leaving some sort of lasting legacy. I work in marketing. I know what happens to I know what happens to YouTube channels when they don't post after like a couple of days, weeks, months. They get buried in the algorithm. And guess what? After so long length of time after inactivity, your channel gets deleted along with your Google accounts. that's just the reality of the situations that you see. So there is no way I would ever be that egotistical saying that this channel is leaving some sort of lasting legacy, because it's just not, basically. But there's sometimes when I come across stories like this, I wish I had a larger reach. I wish I had a larger reach. I really, really do. Purely for the fact that you see stories like this where Lee Anderson got into a row with a journalist, not like a national journalist, but a local journalist, to the point where this local journalist wrote this piece, and we'll be going over it to the moment, and it said, as you'll see at the moment, left him very worried. And it's kind of shocked me that this did not get more attention, because this came out, or this was published on the 26th, and it just got it got no media attention. It got no media attention. So I am kind of shocked this did not get more media attention than it did. But this is one of those occasions where, God, I wish I had a larger reach. I really wish I did have that reach that a lot of people say that apparently I do have, that I can somehow influence Labour policy. But, you know, this is certainly one of those times. But yeah, this is, I think, kind of crazy this did not pick up more traction. So we're going to go into this. But yeah, before we do, please do, like I say, click the like, share, subscribe button. Down below, there's the Patreon page, there's the Buy Me Coffee link, there's the YouTube thank you button, and of course, as always, there is the Pony Club down below as well. So let's go cracking on into this, because I found this so strange that this did not get more attention. So this is from Nottinghamshire Live. This is the Nottinghamshire Post's sort of YouTube, well, not YouTube, but their actual sort of web page. But the title is, Lee Anderson and I got into an online row, and it left me very worried. The row revealed now a growing trend which threatens a cornerstone of democracy in this country. And this is a local journalist writing this. This is a local journalist writing this and saying this. And I have to say, once we go through this, I'm shocked this did not get more attention than it did. So, I have had an argument with Lee Anderson. Reform's, of course, chief rabble-rouser is certainly no stranger to provoking debate, and we've covered many of them over the years. It is by no means the first time he's taken issue with us at Nottinghamshire Live either. The first time it got into trouble with him was when he was still a Conservative MP in the dying days of Liz Truss's premiership. I spent one morning contacting the officers of every Conservative MP in Nottinghamshire. That would, of course, be a very quick job nowadays, to ask them if they still supported Truss as their leader. I gave them till the end of the day, very much ample time for an MP to confirm if they liked their leader or not. Many, of course, did not respond, and we ran a piece highlighting the fact that just 2 Nottinghamshire Tories actually confirmed their support for Truss, and Lee was not happy. Again, Lee Anderson not happy, and a journalist doing his job. Doing his job. That's what he was doing, and Lee Anderson not happy. Yet, This latest argument that happened on Thursday, the 24th of April, goes beyond our relationship with Lee, which we always try to have in good faith to try and maintain as we do with all our MPs, which regularly has, of course, its positive moments. Thursday's row highlighted a much broader and much more troubling attitude towards the role of local media. And I want to just say this, go on a quick tangent. I will say this now. Local media is so important. So important. And it's so sad you are seeing the death of many local media outlets, because it is the local media. It is your local, paper that covers what's going on in your town council, what's going on in your area more closely. And unfortunately, so many of these outlets have either closed, folded, or barely surviving. So, do support your local paper. It does provide you with so much stuff, more than people realize. And once you lose it, it's gone for good. And there are a lot of people out there who used to have local papers and no longer they exist. You are very lucky if you live in an area where you do get a local newspaper still. But anyway, back to this. So it began with a factual post on X or Twitter, shall I say, from myself, which said, Reform did not attend our Nottinghamshire Live County Council hustings this week. Listening to, of course, BBC Radio Nottinghamshire's hustings this morning, Reform again aren't attending. Last year, Nottinghamshire Live hosted 5 general election hustings and Reform were not at any. Politics aside, this isn't on. And the reaction from Lee, who had not been directly tagged in the post, was swift. He said, the Ashfield MP said, quote, absolute rubbish. I did not do last year's hustings as I spent my time on the doorstep. Guess what? I increased my vote share. We are here to serve the people of Ashfield, not you. So that's how it started. I then replied by saying, quote, our county council hustings this week has nearly 10,000 views, Lee. We do not do these things for ourselves. We do it so as many people as possible get to hear from the parties to see them, of course, scrutinized on their plans and their policies. Again, very true. I would like to see this happen a lot more, especially like local hostings being broadcast in some way. And I think now you have YouTube, you've got live streaming that is more possible than ever. The big problem is having the people to be able to do it and the facilities to do that as well. That are two, challenges to overcome. Now, is it possible to do? Absolutely. I would love to see that done a lot more. But it is, admittedly, it's quite hard to do. It's quite hard to plan. And of course, you need the facilities and the stuff to do it. Not something every local newspaper is going to be able to do or facilitate. But no, good on them for doing that. And like I say, 10,000 views for a local council hustings, generally is not that bad. That is not bad views for a local council hustings. So, the final word from Lee was then as follows, saying, and my Facebook videos got 2 million views in the last week. It was a brief social media encounter that caused both sides to get quite a lot of abuse. Part of me, therefore, wanted to just leave it alone. Yet, the issue it highlights are just too important to ignore. The fundamental question surrounds the apparent attitude in some quarters of the United Kingdom does not need the mainstream media anymore. It was a view expressed by Anderson himself when I attended Reform UK's conference in Leicester back in January. The Ashfield MP told crowds, we do not need mainstream media. We've got social media and GB News. And another speaker also attacked the media, saying some of them are in the room tonight. I love that. We don't need mainstream media, but we're desperately trying to keep and make GB News a thing. Desperately still trying to make GBBs happen. Come on, guys. Yeah, you do have social media. You do have that more so reach than ever before. However, this does raise a lot of questions, though, about who now is in control. Who are the people giving you that information through that social media? You know, there is a lot of reasons why, for example, the BBC, time and time again, still quite a very good and trusted news source. And people will still trust that. But on social media, that news could be coming from anywhere. And some of this stuff that especially the right wing have worked out, they can be incredibly partisan about it, as shall we say, the Guido Fawkes as a perfect example of something in this realm does. And it does do, I think, a lot of damage to politics where you start to see the attack of mainstream media. We've seen this in America with Trump doing the exact same thing, but goes on Fox News all the time. So yeah, there are very much downsides to politicians doing that. I don't think politicians should attack just the mainstream media like that out of the blue. So back to this. Yet, if reform doesn't, of course, feel it needs the media anymore, why did the party approach us just weeks ago with an opinion piece from Nigel Farage they wanted us to publish, which, of course, we did? It seems as though engagement with media is, of course, on their terms, and that is 100% right. They want to, the whole point of Farage and co is you're not allowed to ask questions of us, but we're allowed to ask questions of you. We're the ones just asking questions about the government, just raising all these concerns. You know, we will engage with you on our terms, but the second you start to want to talk to us, ask questions of us, talk to us about, I don't know, party funding or why, I don't know, you're going to get, foreign funding at the moment, which is, again, kind of weird that you want to do that. I thought you had all these members. Why aren't your coffers being filled with all those funds from those members that you're getting, right? So, politicians, of course, of all parties, of course, do go through periods where they decide not to engage with the media anymore, of course, in many ways. And that is absolutely their prerogative. Yet, consistent disengagement and accompanying attacks on the United Kingdom's free press sits within now a broader discourse online, which appears now to view all journalists as enemies of the people. And yes, this is something we should avoid because this is not good. This is not good at all. You see this, what's going on in America right now, where Trump has attacked the press consistently, thrown and taken away press credentials of outlets that, actually give him robust criticism to hand it over to outlets that will just go, gee, Mr. Trump, haven't you lost weight this week? Very strange on that. So, back to this. To take, of course, Nottinghamshire Live alone, in the time that I've worked here, the standout moments, of course, have included us winning the fight against Nottinghamshire police when they tried us to force us into a non-disclosure agreement, preventing the publication of critical details surrounding the Nottinghamshire attacks. Our campaigns, of course, included, pardon me, a fight to protect Nottingham's community centres, highlighting the scourge of shoplifting in our city centre, and calling on the scrapping of smart motorways. We are firmly, of course, on the side of our readers, and of course, our regular online hustings we hold are a chance for parties wanting to the public vote to reach thousands of them. That argument, of course, from Anderson that door knocking is now a better use of his time is nonsensical. Surely he can do both. Exactly. But the thing is, he did not want to be questioned, especially by his opponents, who absolutely would have loved an opportunity to engage with Mr. Anderson. But of course, as he pointed out earlier, it's engagement on their terms, not his terms. So, it took the candidates at our recent Nottinghamshire County Council hustings just 1 hour from start to finish to take part. And we seriously do believe that not one, and are we actually seriously to believe that not one of Reform's 65 candidates in Nottinghamshire could have taken a break from door knocking just for 1 hour on Tuesday afternoon? Again, no one, remember, it's the whole question time scenario, the whole question time conundrum. Back in the UKIP days, you'd have thought that UKIP was just a one-man party comprised of Nigel Farage. They know, because they do not want any other candidates going on there creating like a viral media clip about reform or a reform candidate saying something. So they are told you are not allowed to do that type of stuff because they want to control the media narrative. And they know that if they put someone who isn't Farage or maybe Trice in front of camera, well, things might go off a bit off the rails, shall we say. So, the reason that I've hesitated to write this piece is because now of some, it will of course confirm what they already now believe to be true, that I'm a quote lefty woke journalist with an agenda. They love the fact that my job title has agenda in it to bring down, of course, Reform UK. Yeah, and like I say, some people, no matter what you would tell them, they will not care. They will not care. It's the unfortunate part of our media landscape, of just politics in general today, is becoming or has become very, very tribal indeed. This is, of course, just utter trash. I would be making the exact same argument if any other major political party regularly failed to turn up to our hustings events. I have not spent any of this piece proffering my opinion on Reform's policy, but they have again merely made the argument that as a party wanting to get into government at the next general election, that they should put themselves up for all forms of scrutiny. This is an absurd, reasonable, and moderate thing, of course, to say. Yet, the very act is now of saying it, of course, prompted now a social media pylon and all the abuse that, of course, comes with it. And I'm doing this on Wednesday. It's the day before the local election, so this is going to come out on Thursday. We probably won't know what the results are yet. But I've already made a video about this today. They are terrified of winning. Reform are terrified of winning because that scrutiny will come on them. Because that is their aim. They want to be the party that gets into government at the next general election. That means they are open to all, or should be open to all forms of scrutiny, but they are not. They want to control their own narrative. They want to dictate at what times and where and when, how questions are asked of them, if any questions are asked at all. But that will be it. You know? I'll be very interested to see what the comments say about some of this stuff. This, of course, is abundantly reasonable and a moderate thing to say. Yet the very act of saying, but I've had to clear on. So door knocking is, of course, one thing, is a vital part of any election campaign. But so too is having policies scrutinized by the media for the benefit of voters. Again, very true. The attack, of course, on this effort and, of course, the broader threat that poses now to this vital work of journalists up and down the country is a very troubling trend and shows no signs of abating. Very, very true indeed. I am surprised. I am very surprised this did not get more uptake. I am very surprised this did not get more uptake. Luckily, some of these things do seem to be quite sensible. Someone said, pleased to see some journalism. What you have, of course, experienced is straight out of the Trump MAGA playbook, which is, again, very true, which Reform under Trump's bosom buddy Farage, along with like Anderson, just want to try and emulate. Look how certain characters in the US regime treat probing journalists. I'm afraid that plenty of people in Notts will vote for reform, expecting that they'll be looked after, given jobs, retained benefits, and yes, halt migration. Like Trump, the voters are going to be very disappointed. Very disappointed indeed. Someone else says here, Lee Anderson doesn't want to have to face any challenging questions about privatising the NHS, for example. It's his now responsibility dodging quote quote dodging. That's all he's good at. But yeah, this is something, and I would agree with this guy. Ironically, he's also called Ollie as well. But yeah, I'd agree with this journalist who wrote this. There is that troubling trend, a very troubling trend, and even more so for the fact that I think you do need local media. You do need local media because it is local media more so than the national newspapers are going to scrutinize like local elections, your local councillors, what they're doing, what's happening in your local council chambers. If not, it's very worrying. But I am kind of shocked this did not pick up more traction. But I agree with him. I do very much agree with him. Reform UK, if they want to be taken seriously, if they want to be the next party of government, then they should expect that they are going to get a level of scrutiny they have not experienced before. I mean, like I say, if they do win big on Thursday, if they do quote win big, which again I very much doubt they will quote win big. They will of course claim they won big, but we'll see what there is. See what the shall we say the final numbers say. Um, yeah, they're going to get a level of scrutiny on their lack of policies, their funding, the personal funding of Farage, what is going on in the party, to say the least. The fact that Farage thinks he can centrally control all these councillors from the UKIP offices in London. Uh, I do not see, I've never ever seen, or would love to know what a reform candidate thinks about the fact that they are going to get marching orders from an office in London and told what to do from London, and dictate that to their local council. Never heard a peep. Never heard a peep about that. So, as always, let me know what you think about this down below because I think it's fascinating. Fascinating to see this type of stuff. But yeah, I in this case, I wish I did have a larger reach because I think this and this interaction um, should be highlighted. It should be talked about. I think a lot more, and about how it is damaging to our democracy, not just at a local level but a national level as well. And I think that journalist has every right to be very, very worried because we've seen what happens in the US. And don't get me wrong, we are not as far gone as America, but never let it be said it couldn't happen here too. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.